Hey guys, welcome to another tutorial series in continuation of our Adalo class for beginners. And we have been working on the app so far that which we have not started. In the last video, we went straight into database and we talked a lot about database. And before we proceed in starting the app fully, we are going to do something different today because some of the things that are going to be in our app, there's going to be chatting features, and that is why today we are going to be talking about building a chatting app. So let's get started. So we're going to create a new app and just call it I will just call it WeChat and leave the default color. Today is about functionality of chatting. So we are going to maintain the default login and sign up pages already created, and we're going to maintain this page as well. So now, what is this chatting going to be? It's going to be similar to what we know as WhatsApp, and this is going to we are going to have three basic pages. The first page is going to show where users can see all their ongoing conversations. Then when you click on any conversation, it's going to take you to the messaging page where you can message and chat with your friend. And we're going to have the third page, which is just going to be to create or to start a new chat with another person. So right now I'm just going to create the three pages. So I'm going to call this one messaging. I'm going to rename this one to conversations. So we're going to create a third page, which is going to be new conversation. This is going to be to start new conversation. Now the top menu here is not needed. We're going to remove it. We're going to remove it. And I'm going to design something not so complex, but something nice on the top where we can display we're going to display the name of the app, and I'm going to make this just a little design, not just to make our page that's okay. So we're going to have the name of the app there. If we have a logo, we can put the logo there. So just call it WeChat. We're going to give it a better color. WeChat. Alright, so we are just going to put a grid icon up there for user to change just their profile settings. We are not going to focus on profile settings today. We are just going to put an icon there. Okay, so user can click on and change their profile settings. Alright, this is all we are going to have here. And we can duplicate this and this. I'm going to duplicate on this as well. So now the next thing is to set up our database. And in setting up the database, we must know how this chat is going to function. It's going to be simple chatting app where you can start a conversation with a friend, and only you and your friend can communicate together in that conversation. So let's start with our database. Already we have users, and that's all we need. So instead of full name, we are going to have first name and last name, because we want to address our friend by first name, not the full name. So I'm going to have first name, last name. This is the first thing we actually have to have. So the next thing is you want to create a conversation collection. Call it conversations. So what's the spelling error? Conversations. And in this conversation, what do we need? We need our friends. So we're going to have a relationship with users. And in this relationship, a conversation will have many users. Understand? A user have multiple conversations. Yes, a conversation belongs to one user. This is wrong because we want at least two people to be in the conversation. So then we are going to go with many to many, because conversation we have multiple users and a user can have multiple conversations. So we call this friends. And we already said that there are only two people that can be friends in this. Now we have conversations. We have friends that are part of the conversation. They are going to be exchanging messages. So we are going to have collection for messages. So in their messaging, they are going to be exchanging text message. I just got this text message. They can share images. So we are going to have image properties. They can share images. So we leave this as this. Then we are going to have property to know if a message is seen or not, just to check. Then this message we have sender and recipient. So the sender can only be one person. So a user can have multiple messages. Yes, a person can send multiple messages, and a message belongs to one user. Only one person can be a sender of a message. So we are going to have sender. And the similar thing applies to recipient. So only one recipient per message. And the user can receive multiple messages. So we have sender, we have recipients. Now in our conversation, each conversation is going to have messages. So we are going to have relationship with messages. And let's see what to go with here. A message can have multiple conversations. No, that's absolutely wrong. A message belongs to only one conversation. So we cannot go with that. Now let's see the second. A message can only have one conversation, and the conversation can have multiple messages. So that's exactly what we need for this. So we call it messages. So as a way of making this better, we can have something like date to say the last date a message was sent in that conversation. So you can say last message, date for the when the last message was sent in the conversation. So for our database, that's all we need. We might realize later we need something more, that will come back to this. Now in this, we want to display the conversations. Want to display the conversations, and want to display, yeah, when we are naming our conversation, we're going to name it with the two people that are in conversation. But here we want to display the image of the other person we are conversing with. in each conversation. So it's going to be the image of the person. So I'm going to set this to just something small. Okay. And I'm going to make it curve. Yes, that makes it curve. Then we're going to have the name of our friend we're chatting with, the name of the friend we're chatting with. So I'm going to say name, and then we want to have the date of the last message. So we created that to use for this. The date last message was sent. We're going to make this a lot smaller. Don't need something much. Just update. I think this. Alright, so let's group our components. So we just call this conversation. Now, to make this work, now there are two things we want to do here. We want to list all the conversations. So we should just make this a list of conversations directly like this and call it list conversation. Yeah, we are going to have access to all the conversations, but we not have access to the other friend in the conversation because only login user is the user we can have access to, which is why we need to first make sure we have access to the users on the app, and which is why we are going to first say what we want all users. We want to have access to all users. So all users, but that's not our main goal. Now we have access to all users, so we can have access to the other friendly conversation. Now we are going to make it a list again, and this time going to be a list of conversations. Now we can name this one conversations. Conversations, and it's going to be login user conversations. Now we go back to the list of users and make sure that we are only seeing users of the conversation. So we're going to say current conversation friends. So with that, we're good. Then we can start setting. We're going to make sure that what is current conversation. We want to go with, now we can have access to the other friend, which is the current user. So we have current users. Okay, so in our database, there's no image for users. So we have to set the property. So maybe you can say profile picture. Profile picture. So when we come back here, we can have access to the user's picture. So if there is nothing, we're going to display a placeholder. Okay. I'm going to display a placeholder. Okay. I can have a user placeholder here. Okay. So this is the placeholder that we're going to have if user does not have a profile picture. Now we're going to display the name of the of our friend. So we need the first name. So here we are going to display the date of the last message, current conversation, last message date. So with that, we're good to go. Sure. I just have this. Okay. So now we have access to each conversation. Now we want to do once each is clicked, we want to go to the messaging page. We just put it here. We click on any part of this to go to the messaging. So we click action, just go to messaging, and here we are going to have our conversation carried along. So it comes here. Okay, so let's give it action, and let us give it action here. Let's give it action from here. If we give it action from here, so we can have access to both conversation and the current user. And by the time we come here, we check your available data, we should have access to both. Now we're good. Now before we design our chatting, we are going to have action button that we can use to initiate conversation, to open a conversation page. Action button, let's just say new conversation. So okay, let's give it this our default color. So the plus icon, I think it's enough good message. New conversation. So we just have to move to the new conversation screen. It's more. So it brings us here. It brings us here. Now all we need to do is just similar to this. So I'm going to go to the list of users and copy that. So I don't have to do this and put this one here. So I have list users. Now all we want to do here is to display all users, right? So that we can start conversation with any one of them. All users, then we can start conversation. But we want to make sure that we do not have the login user displayed as well. We don't want to be starting our conversation with ourselves. So what we are going to filter out the login user. So we are going to filter out the user by targeting ID and make sure that it's not equals to the login user ID. Like that, the login user will never be involved, will never be part of these people here. So we are just going to display what? We are going to display just the image, the name. So we don't actually need this. We'll remove it. So now when you click on any, then you start. When it is clicked, you create a conversation because you are starting conversation. So when you click it, you have to create your conversation. So we create conversation. So we are going to name it say login user first name and the other user current user first name. Then we save. Done. Now we want to add the users as well. Now we are going to update new conversation. We need to add the users one by one. First, we are going to add the login user, and you update again to add the current user. So you might be wondering, why can't we add them straight as we create the conversations? So when you are using many to many relationship, that is the only way you can add an item to the collection. So when using many to many, you cannot create an item and update many to many. Understand? So you have to do it one by one by adding. That is the only way you can add, you can remove. So that is the only way many to many relationship works. And that is why we have to update twice. You have to update two times. First, adding the login user. Then second, you add the current user. That is the only way to work. So with that, we have our user. Then we can now we can then link and start messaging. Understand? And start messaging. We just go to messaging screen. That's all. So here we want to put an arrow to go back in case someone changes your mind and do not want to initiate a conversation anymore. So let's put an arrow to go back. So just say back. So we put this arrow back. So with that, we are done for this. So the last piece, which might take a little bit more time. This video is getting long already. This video is getting long, but we have to complete the last piece, which is very, very important as well. So now what we have to do now, we have to display the messages. There will be starting conversation. We have to display the conversations, the messages that will be going on between the two parties. So right here, we are going to remove this icon here. Instead, we are going to put, actually I'm going to copy, we want to put an image, so I'm going to copy from here. Okay. We want to show the image of our friend we are chatting with, and it should be small enough. So let me just change this from here. So that should be good. Image current user. So current user is the friend we are chatting with. So current user profile picture, that's good. If we want, we can also display the name here. So let's display the name as well. So you know when you are in this, you know who you are chatting with. You are chatting with your friend, and we're going to see the name. So yeah, let's put the name of our friend that we'll be chatting with. So I'm going to be current user first name. So let's make this black and smaller. So you also want to have an icon to go back. Actually, the name of the app is not needed here. So we make this align center and align this centrally. So we need to display the messages. We display the messages, and we need to have a way of differentiating between the login user and the other friend we are chatting with. So we're going to do a little bit of rectangular design, just little. this is going to be for other user. We are just going to give it something close to black, not purely black. Let's give it this. So let's make sure it's off. I think that should be good. Let's make it up to, let's say 250. Alright. Let's make this also 50. The height should be 50. Then we're going to put the text in it. So let's make sure this text is multi-line. Yes. And it should not go beyond this. So we are not going to make it auto weight. It's going to be like that. Alright, so let's make the text white. So now we are going to duplicate this for login user and make sure that it's starting from here. So this will be for the login user, the person that is logged in. This will be for the other user. So we are going to name it current user. Then this will be login user. When I say login user, when you are chatting, you know this is the one you will be seeing. Now we have to differentiate the colors. So we are going to make this color. Let's make it this. So the person who is logged in will be seeing this. When you send message, this is what you see. When you receive message from your friend, this is what you see. So these both will be message, and we are going to group them and make it a list of message. First, let's group it first. Say messages. Then let's make this group a list of messages. And you want to be sure that, let's say this is messages, and it's going to be current conversation messages. It will be current conversation messages. All right. Now, this logged in user, first you want to make sure that this only shows for what? For the other user. So that's why I'm going to set the visibility. This only shows for the current user. So we want to make sure when the current message sender, when current message sender is current user. So this is how we set it. So current message sender ID is equal to the current user ID. So that's when this will show. So which means messages sent by the current user will show here. Then messages sent by the login user will show here. So with that, we set visibility for this. I want to make sure that when current user sender is equal to login user. So all we have to do now is to display the messages. Current message, current message. So now we are displaying the messages, but then we are displaying the messages. We've now displayed the image. So I'm going to leave that to you as a task. Find a way to display the image. Whoever sends an image, find a way to display it and comment. Leave a comment in the comment section when you are able to do that, or any challenges you come across in trying to do that. So the last thing we are going to do is how to create conversation, how to create messages. So in doing that, as well, we are going to put a little design here. Actually, we could have used this, but we just make this as well. So we are going to make it white as well. I'm just going to create some charts. Let's make it shadow. And the shadow to go up. So now we are going to put our input field for user to type. Let's make it 50. So that's where I have to set this. So this can be multi-line. So I enable that. It can be multi-line. So let's give it a little bit of let's give it border. Let's make the border look a bit, so you know. So let's say type in the message in the input. Alright, so we're going to have an icon to actually send a message. So we have an icon. So we change this to send. Icon to send a message. Let's give it this color. So when they click on this icon, it's going to send a message. And we're going to have a little bit of image picker. So I give you an assignment. I think I've done a bit part of it right now by putting an image picker there. So an image picker is going to be there. Let's make it small enough. I think 30 should work. So you have to have an image picker here. So anyone that wants to send an image will pick that. Then they will be prompted to choose their image and send. So now when they pick an image, this image picker will contain the image they picked. So now we want to create the message. All we have to do is add an action and create a message. So the message, let's check the name of this, our input. Okay, let's say input message. Let's come back here. So our message is going to be other components input message. So now the sender is the login user, of course, and the recipient is the what? Is the current user, and the conversation is the current conversation. The only conversation that exists on this page, we add it as a conversation. We set the sender the current user. The sender is the logged in user always, and the recipient is the other user. Understand? So now we should add our image as well. But before we do, so now let's go over this again. You click on the icon to create message, text message, which will be the message that you input from here. That's why you look for current components, and that's why your inputs, you always name your inputs according to what they are all about. Then the sender is the login user, the recipient is the other user, which is why it's compulsory to have current user available on this page. And that's why we have done all we've done so far. And the conversation is the current conversation that we have here. So now, what if somebody else decides to add an image as well? We don't want to put it here directly because some might add, some might not add an image. So which is why we need to update the new message and put a condition for people that we just decide to send an image as well. So the only thing we need to do here is add the image from image picker and set a condition to it that this should only happen if that particular image picker is not empty, right? If it is empty, no image will be added. So you don't want to have error when sending message or when sending messages. So this is why this has to be done. So by the time you do this, you have yes, you have it's all we need to do in this chatting app. And if we have not made any mistake, this should work correctly and perfectly. So right now we are just going to test, and we stop the video right here. So the first thing I'm going to do is preview the app. Yeah, before I preview the app, I want to create a bunch of your users. I'm just going to create two. It's sample. I'm just going to say test1 at test.com for email. Yeah, I'm going to put, let's see here. We don't need last name. Profile picture. Let's put a picture. Any picture we do here. I want to make sure that you have someone to start conversation with. So then I'm going to add another one. So here I'm going to say test2. So I'm going to say test as well. I'm going to say James. Then we'll add the first one that looks like James. Alright, so we added two users, so I can preview the app, then sign up. I'm going to say So actually we should title our conversations. You can just say my conversations. Let's have in, let's just use this. We should have done this, but seeing it blank doesn't look cool. Let's say my conversations. At least when a user comes there for the first time, they know why it is blank. If you have no conversation, of course, it's going to be blank. I'm sure this is saved. Refresh. So my conversation now, I can start a conversation. Now we have the two users. Click on this to start a conversation. Now it shows that what I'm having conversation with James. But somehow the name of image James picture is not showing here. Let's quickly go figure out. So I'm just going to do this current users profile picture. At times that is required on Adalo. So let's refresh. Yeah, cool. Now let's send a message. Hello. Understand? Now we have a message. Now one more thing. You see that this is moving. This is moving, right? So let's make sure that it doesn't move. It's always seated at the bottom here. So we go to our chat. Let's make it bigger a bit. Then I go to layout and we say this will be stick. Make it sticky while scrolling. So if that works for us, it shouldn't move. Alright, cool. Now if you do this, we can go back to chat, but let's make sure we set that right. This will just go back. This will go back. And let's make sure we can have a logout button from here. For now, I'm just going to change this to logout. Because we are not going to be talking about profile pages. Yeah. So I'll just change this to logout. When it logs out, it goes to the login page. Now I want to do this so I can log out and log in the accounts I'm chatting with to send a conversation. And before we go, this is showing both the conversation and it's showing me as well. Let's quickly figure out why. Again, users conversations. Okay, current conversation friends. So it's showing for the two. Now let's make sure the login user is not involved. I'm going to say ID is not equals to login user ID. So let's see if that works. Yes, and this is exactly what we should see. And let's log out and log in with James. So this should be, I think it should be test. Yes, and you see that what when James logged in, it's showing ClemxyTech, which is the person she's chatting with. Now let's go into the conversation. Now cool, as you can see this. Now this is showing us black to ClemxyTech because ClemxyTech is not the sender, and in this case James right now, this is James' account. This is showing for James as black because James is the recipient, which is exactly how we sent. Now James will receive black as recipient. If James should send now, it's going to be green as the sender. Yes, and that's exactly what we need. Now, one last thing. Now it's showing the new one above, but we might want it to be below. So we have to go to our messages and sort correctly. So how do you want to sort these messages? So we can say created date, newest to oldest. Let's say if you say newest to oldest, let's see if this works for us. Because we want the new message to always show below. Okay, let's inverse that. Let's see that. So we're going to say now what we use newest to oldest. Now let's use oldest to newest. Yeah, cool. Now let's send another one to be sure. Yeah, this is exactly what we want. Now let's say a pic now. Let's upload a picture to send. Okay. So I uploaded a picture, but it's not displaying the picture, only the message, which is the task I gave you. So duplicate exactly what I've done, make your own work as this, and find a way to make the image show up. That's a simple task I'm leaving out for you guys. So comment in the comment section, leave comments in the section to update me how you have been able to achieve this and any challenges that you come across. So that's where we're going to be stopping for today. And in our next video, before we start our learning app, we are going to work on another app, which is going to be quiz app, because on our app we want to build, we are going to have quiz as well, and that is why we are going to build it out as a standalone feature as a single app. So till then, bye for now.